All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WardiTV Summer Championships. This is going to be a replay cast, and the first player up here at the top right, we got our blue Zerg playing for Kaizi Gaming. Make some noise for Solar.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, playing as the red Terran player for the team of Shopify Rebellion. Give it up for BYUN.
Alright, so this is going to be in the, I believe this is the prelims, the winners bracket. And there is a kind of a winner and losers bracket in this prelim, so I believe this is just to kind of further progress so that either players can qualify for the main event, and we'll see if which one of these players will qualify and advance forward.
Yeah, definitely. It almost feels like, when you go through a tournament or an event with a losers bracket, it's almost as if you're given another life, quote unquote. So I don't know, I feel like whenever I'm participating in something with a losers bracket, I try not to show all of my cards, all of my best builds, right off the bat in the first bracket, just in case I have to save it for later.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a little bit of a I don't want to say like a big debate, but a little bit of a small debate as to whether it's better for a kind of a single bracket or is it better for a double elimination type of bracket. And I know that, of course, that the DreamHack, for example, the DreamHack EU, as well as the DreamHack Americas, they have kind of adopted a double elimination type of bracket and tournament. How do you feel personally about those two kind of formats? Which one do you actually prefer more?
Yeah, I guess it depends on the kind of event, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So, when I'm hosting stuff for my university, of which I am the resident team captain of my StarCraft team, I always try to host double elimination events because it sort of gives every player more chances to show their stuff. You know what I mean? But when it comes to professional play, I'm not so sure because honestly, it burns. If it burns out amateur players, imagine how burnt out a professional player is, right? And they have to, again, like I was talking about, they have to show all of these builds. Once you use it once, it's pretty much known to the whole world, especially to your opponents, right? And, once that build is known, then a lot of times, a lot of those crazier builds, a lot of those more risky builds, they tend to lose their edge after that. But yeah, I don't know, if it's something, casual and I want everybody to have a better time, get to know each other more, then yeah, definitely double elim might be the way to go.
Yeah, will be it is a pretty interesting debate. We would love to see your guys' thoughts. So if you do have an opinion on that, feel free to type it into the comment section. But anyhow, we do have this game progressing along. Looks like kind of a pretty standard opening 3 hatchery from Solar. Have yet to see him get the lair yet. Looks like he is just finishing up that ling speed. And on the other side, what do we have for BYUN? Oh, looks like we have a little bit of a marine drop now. There's only going to be 6 marines here, so not really too scary. And I believe he doesn't have stim yet, as he is going to go ahead and actually he invested a lot of minerals into these Hellions and going to go ahead and reveal them at the kind of the last second.
Oh, this is going to be interesting because it looks like there are only 4 lings on the high ground, so these marines are actually just going to drop down onto the low ground, and the Hellions are still at home base. They are headed out to the third. So I'm trying to think, as the Zerg, you got to be able to split your units so effectively, right? If you send the wrong unit to the wrong place at the wrong time, then a lot of damage could be done. But it looks like we have yet to see BYUN actually engage with this sort of 2-pronged Hellion plus Marine drop harass.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what he's waiting for. It's not like he has armory on the way, so I'm not exactly sure.
Right.
Maybe he's just waiting for maybe stim to finish, but that's going to be a little bit of time here, and will allow Solar to kind of mass up enough units to defend this.
That's right. Now we do see now there are a lot more than just 4-lings on the high ground. So it's down to these Hellions to try to do some damage. They do snipe off a Baneling, but it looks like they will be forced off of the creep by these queens. And actually, oh, Solar getting 2 free Hellions at the same time. We do see 3 drones going down. I believe that was due to the medevac drop, which has now been dealt with by the Lings and the Spore Crawler. So all in all, I'd say that was, pretty well handled by Solar, because I would not be happy as the Red Terran player losing 2 Hellions and, not really getting too much damage done.
Yeah, wasn't quite the greatest execution. I mean, does get at least 3 drones, so at least something. But in the end, I don't think this is the damage that BYUN is quite looking for. I'm sure he's hoping for a lot more drones here. And so far, Solar doing a great job defending this attack, and has actually felt confident enough to throw down that Spire, which should give him the Mutalisk tech in order to shut down all these drops, all these Liberator siege harasses, and will be a bit more difficult, or actually quite difficult, more difficult for BYUN to get those damage done with those drops.
Oh yeah, definitely. Once Mutas are out on the field, as long as the Zerg is active enough, theoretically there is no way that a drop should be able to sort of sneak its way into any of the Zerg bases. So as soon as that Spire pops, we expect to see, yep, there we go, 5 Mutas, 6 Mutas on the production tab, and a few more Banelings as well. Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I am not too sure about the Hellion movement in this game so far, right? These Hellions have been stationed at the Watchtower for quite a while, when they could have been out on the map, sort of, trying to see what kind of damage they're doing. Like just now, right? You get a couple of creep tumors, you delay the creep spread, that's pretty good. But I feel like if the Hellions were even more active, if we saw even more of that, then we might just see some cracks. We might start to see some cracks in Solar's armor, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case this game. Now, BYUN does have a very nice 1-1 timing that's just about to finish up, and actually catches out these Lings on the map off of creep. So pretty good pickup there for our Red Terran player. Looks like he will engage onto the creep. And we will have to wait and see just how much damage BYUN is able to do.
Yeah, now he does have 2 tanks here, so maybe not quite the scariest, but he does at least clean up a lot of the creep here. Solar gonna go ahead and take the engagements nonetheless. We'll actually just clean up the first line tank and then back out, and then just kind of wait for the reinforcements to arrive. But yeah, these Mutalisks, not actually, let's see here, how many, not quite committed, only 9 Mutalisks, but I think he's just kind of making sure he has enough gas to make those Banelings, those crucial Banelings, in order to help clean up a lot of these Marines here.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's always, a sort of game of patience whenever you're a Zerg defending against Bio. Now, those Banelings got awfully close, but BYUN is able to siege up those tanks in those really sweet spots, like you need to go all the way behind as the Zerg. But Banelings are going to roll forward. A few of them are going to connect with not really too much, so the first Queen is about to go down. But these Marines are doing their damage. A couple of drones are going down, but a huge Ling wraparound. Oh, is it going to wrap around? Okay. So it looks like the Lings will be separated for now, but not too sure if they're actually going to wrap around. Some Banelings are trickling in, but that is not how you want to engage. These Mutas are desperately trying to gun down the first. GG is called. BYUN takes game number 1.
Alright, here for game number 2. Let's see if Solar can tie up the series, or if BYUN can close out the series. Well, speaking of BYUN, first player up here at the top left, we got our Red Terran player, hailing from Korea, and representing the team of Shopify Rebellion, it is BYUN.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom right corner of the map as the Blue Zerg, once again, playing for the team of Kaizi Gaming, it is Solar.
So, fairly kind of standard game in the first game between these two. The thing that kind of worries me for Solar is that he didn't really suffer a lot of economic damage in the early game, yet in the end BYUN was still able to amass enough units to kind of break through Solar there at the end. And I am a little bit of afraid because I mean, if you were in Solar's position, like maybe, or you were to ask Solar, did he like his position from the like maybe like the around the 5 minute mark or so? I'm sure he would have said yes. I mean, he only really lost 3 drones, right? So it's gonna be hard and difficult to see how Solar can turn this game around. But I mean, each game is different. This is a totally new map in Lightshade, so kind of the dynamics of the game can be greatly different compared to the last game.
Yeah, I definitely agree about your point in that Solar, it looks solid. Like Solar had set himself up essentially for an excellent mid game. And by the time the 1-1 push came around, it kind of felt like Solar just wasn't ready for it. And what I mean by that is that, the Ling wraparound wasn't exactly in place. It seemed like the mutas especially were quite hesitant to go anywhere. And in that very, very, very last fight where the mutas tried to jump on top of that siege tank, they were not able to gun it down in time before the Marines shot down all of the mutas. And at the same time, a lot of banelings were sort of trickling forward, which is not really what you want to do. You do want to do that against Widow Mines, of course, right? You don't want to just sacrifice all of them to 1 Widow Mine hit or 2 Widow Mine hits. But against that kind of push, a siege tank-based push, you want to be able to set up a surround and then just sort of collapse all at once on top of the Terran army. And that really did not happen. And I'm pretty sure, Solar was trying to set up for a big surround, trying to set up for a nice Ling run by and or a muta push, a muta harass on the, maybe possibly on the mineral lines, but in the end, it didn't come together. So yeah, hopefully for Solar, this game does turn around. But like you said, it's a completely new map, completely new game. We will have to see how BYUN opens up, because in this matchup, the Terran takes the lead in the opening few minutes of the game.
Yeah, well, it looks like BYUN actually going for kind of the same play, the same opening as he did in the last game. He's kind of crossing his fingers and hoping that this time around, this attack will be a bit more successful. And the first medevac is about to pop out here. Now it'll be interesting to see if he does throw down an armory and kind of go for a Hellbat timing, or will he just stick with the Hellions and these Marines here. It looks like for the time being, no armory going down, and the medevac is starting to make its way across the map, and these Hellions will join up with the rest of the forces rather soon.
Yeah, now one medevac does, it does have a lot of DPS, but BYUN, of course, showing his hand right now, trying to kill that one Overlord. That Overlord not exactly able to fly away in time. Hellions coming down from the south side, checking that there's creep, checking that the third base was indeed taken at the other location. But what happened in the last game that I did not really appreciate too much was that the Marines were just sort of sitting there, and the Hellions were just sort of sitting there. So I'm hoping that in this game right now, we can see a bit more activity on the part of BYUN. And it does look like we are going to see that. These Marines are going to come in here, try to gun down some of these Lings, pick up and get out of there. Hellions also trying to, poke and prod at the Queens, but of course not able to find that angle just yet. We do see Stim started up, and 1 Evo chamber rather than 2. So a little bit more activity. I do like this, but it's still on. The pressure is still on BYUN to try to, make something happen.
Ooh, a nice transfuse there. Does stay one of the Queens, and thus far, doing a fairly great job defending. Hasn't lost a single drone, even defending at the main base here against his Liberator. So Solar, his defense is on point, and once again, suffer very minimal economic losses to this pressure opening by BYUN.
Yeah, definitely. He is ahead by about 11 workers, and on top of that, Solar's 1-1 timing is actually quicker than his opponent, so he will be the one with an upgrade advantage window rather than the Terran, and that is going to be a huge advantage when it comes to defending. So yeah. I'd say all in all, Solar is setting himself up even better in this game than he did the last for the mid game.
Yeah, for sure. And then now he is going to go ahead and start expanding that creep, because he does kind of know how important it is to get that creep extended and get those link. Oh, actually nice catch here.
Wow. At the same time, the Marines are trying to gun down that 4th base location. They do force the cancel, but it will just be restarted. But yeah, great Ling micro, catching out those Hellions on the map.
And you know, sometimes it doesn't seem like it's like a lot because it's just you know, mineral-based Hellion units, but I mean, they're mainly the ones that are the creep deniers, right? I mean, there are this medevac with a couple of Lings, but Hellions are so mobile that it's very difficult for the Zerg to kind of surround them. So if you can kind of surround them in the early game and kind of pick them off, you can actually spread those creep a lot more easier compared to if they were alive and out in the field. Anyhow, a great counterattack, Ling counterattack here at the 3rd base. Now, Solar did have to cancel his 4th base, but at the very least, he does kind of hit the economy of BYUN at the same time.
That's right. Now it looks like the old 4th base location, which has been canceled twice now, is going to be set up as the staging ground for the 1-1 push instead. And it looks like instead, Solar's just going to go for a massive Ling counterattack and hope that the Queens and the leftover Banelings are going to be enough to defend at his 3rd base location. Now, keep in mind, he does have that other 4th base location just about to start mining, so that is good for Solar. But now the Marines are starting to pressure. They are starting to interrupt the mining at the mineral line, and these Lings from the counterattack are going to try to wrap around. But the Marines are in place, and here we go. How will this turn out? That looks like way too many Lings to successfully deal with the tanks and the Marines, and yeah, it looks like this push is just going to get cleaned up.
It looks like Solar should have enough to finally clean it up, especially with the reinforcements. Although, gotta give it to BYUN, he did, in the midst of that engagement, did a great job of microing those tanks to focus fire on the Banelings to pick them off. So now it looks like Solar has to replenish some of those Banelings before he finally cleans it up at the north side here. Those few couple of Marines that are left. At the same time, there is another group of Marines here out in the middle trying to clear up the creep, but once again, Solar does have the numbers on the ground to push this back.
Yeah, definitely. Now, this is where things might start to get a little bit dicey for the Zerg, because BYUN, obviously, well known for his multi-pronged harass, and it looked like for a second he was just about to start that, but now we only see 2 full medevacs out on the field. And very interestingly enough, we're going to see Lurker Tech as the choice out of our Zerg player for this game. So, like you said, you know, every game is different, and it looks like this game, mutas are not going to be the tech of choice for our Zerg. And Lurkers are obviously deadly to basically anything on the ground. They are a personal favorite of mine, but we will have to wait and see just how BYUN decides to deal with it. Now, he does send a pretty large force, 3 tanks and a lot of Marines to the south, as well as 1 medevac just sort of clearing creep to the north. And this could potentially get a cancel on the 5th. I'm not too sure, but we will have to wait and see. Creep is being cleared, Lings are being sent down, and those tanks are going to start to have free reign over those Lings. Oh, a lot of Lings going down onto the first tank, which is not where you want the Banelings to be hitting. And now there's almost nothing left. The forces from the north are going to have to come down to deal with this southern red army, and wow. Finally, it gets cleaned up, but at the same time, the 3rd base location is getting harassed. So this is what I'm talking about, that multi-pronged.
Yeah, that's one of the great strengths of BYUN, and it's really up to the Zerg player to kind of spread his overlords, make sure you get that nice vision, as well as maybe some spotterlings ahead of time to see where the attack is coming from. Because it's, you know, what's the kind of unit, this Ling, Baneling kind of base units is really kind of critical to make sure you are in the right and correct position to defend.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we do see the same thing also for Solar, as, you know, you kind of treat Lurkers as your own tanks in this position, where you want to sort of adjust their position and make sure that they're in place to hold off any attack. But we do see a triple drop, a pretty big drop coming into the main. Spore Crawler and Viper are not there on time. Actually, this Viper is going to get picked off. It does get a Parasitic Bomb off, but that's almost next to useless because the Marines are still here and the entire army did have to be brought back to deal with it. So Wow, that was I'm not too sure about that. Sacrificing all of that just for, you know, essentially one Viper, but at the same time, these lurkers on the front line to the south are getting pretty torn up by the Marines. Only one of them is going to survive. Lings coming back are going to be able to deal with the rest of these Lings and tanks. Excuse me, Marines and tanks, but yeah, I am not too sure. It would seem that Solar is sort of gaining the advantage later into this game.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to go ahead and start pouncing at this third base of BYUN. And oh, nice baiting connection. Oh, there's a couple of the amount of SCVs, but it doesn't even matter because BYUN is going to go ahead and just tap on out. There's just too much swarm, and Solar will even up the series. All right, this is it, guys. This is game number 3, the game that will decide and determine which of these players are going to go ahead and advance forward into this tournament. First, at the top left, we have our red Zerg player playing for Kaizi Gaming with a nice, solid game last game. Can he replicate that? It is Solar.
And his opponent, spawning in the bottom right corner of the map, playing for the team of Shopify Rebellion. Give it up for BYUN.
You know, I gotta say, that Shopify Rebellion logo is pretty sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm kind of getting some Call of Duty vibes from it. I don't know why.
Actually,
yeah.
yeah.
Shopify, obviously I believe it's the CEO of Shopify who has always been a big StarCraft 2 fan. So always, you know, showing his support for the community and, of course, turning out his own team.
Yeah, for sure. And they definitely had a nice little splash out of the gate, especially with the kind of the roster that they immediately signed with. They have BYUN, of course. They have Scarlet, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, they have a decent, nice roster and made a nice showing at the World Team League, and really excited to see how they kind of progress through, because they're a relatively young team, and so of course the more years and more experience, then I'm sure they will gradually improve.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, picking up Lambo was also a big one, because Lambo has had a nice showing as of late in the DreamHack tournament. So I'm expecting that Lambo should have a nice kind of increase in terms of his performance in the next coming year or so.
Oh wait, you're talking about Lambo. That's my coach, right? No, I'm just kidding. He does, of course, put down excellent Zerg tutorials on YouTube, but, if you want more focused professional casts, always come to Alpha X. Anyways, yeah, I'm just kidding. But shouting out to Lambo, because some of those tutorials are pretty good, I have to say. It's one thing to be able to play the game well, and then it's another thing to be able to explain the game well. And I think that Lambo, of course, is doing both.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen a couple of pro players kind of dive into the YouTube verse, whether it's Lambo or whether it's even Hearthstone. It's great to kind of get some high level content coming out of these high level players, kind of get their insight and their commentary and their analysis, and of course in some cases their tutorials, and help the StarCraft community improve their gameplay.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this is one of those communities that it never really stops improving, because the player base is just constantly getting better and better.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know today's diamond players or even master players used to be diamond players, and so yeah, the kind of the skill level and the skill ceiling keeps increasing and increasing kind of over the years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Alright, now we do see Solar deviating just a little bit from his previous openers. Of course, getting a little bit more gas a little bit earlier on, making sure that Overlord speed is out in time to get a nice thorough scout of the main. At the same time, we do see BYUN setting up with the same opener in a different way. This time, there is an army, and there will be Hellbats, so this will be a Hellbat push. Now, will there be enough queens? We do see one spine just about to finish up. These Hellbats are diving straight on top of the queens. Lings are coming back from behind, so coming up the ramp towards the Hellions. We do see the medevac finally being picked off, and it looks like there will be enough here to handle this first harass, this first push. And that's the kind of the thing about Hellbat pushes, is that if the Zerg has enough, then that's it. And if the Zerg doesn't have enough, that's also it. Like, it's a very clear-cut sort of build, sort of push. No real room to quote-unquote improve, if you will. You know, just make sure that you have enough, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it's like the best situation if the Zerg can just barely make enough to defend, because you know, you can, after you clean it up, the rest can go into drones and hatcheries and upgrades and stuff like that. And so
exactly.
Yeah, once again, you know, Solar is just so good and so solid in his defense against these timing attacks, these timing pressures that BYUN is kind of known for. And now he's kind of set himself in a great position. I mean, 20 supply lead. Got the 4th base coming up as well. And going to go ahead and start spreading that creep and getting his +1/1 upgrades.
Yeah, this is just like last game, where Solar's 1/1 is actually quicker than his Blue Terran opponent's 1/1. And again, that's going to be a big help when it comes to that +1/+1 timing that the Terran will probably more than likely go for. And it looks like BYUN is again going to choose to go for tanks rather than Widow Mines. And I don't know, I'm a little bit sad because I want to see some nice Widow Mine hits. You know, in the same way that Zerg players love to see Baneling connections. I'm sure that Terran players also love to see Widow Mine connections.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the best Widow Mine hit I've ever seen was, like, I think it was 15 Banelings to 1 Widow Mine, and that was just insane. Like, you could not have asked for a better clump to target, you know.
I think like from my memory, like the greatest like Widow Mine hits was from a game like way back. I think it was between Bomber and maybe Scarlet.
Oh,
and it was like
Bomber.
Yeah, it's like Bomber. I think Bomber. I think he lifted all his units into the medevacs, but the Widow Mines actually kind of did friendly fire damage. And killed all his medevacs with all his units in the medevacs. It's like,
oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, Widow Mines, they can sometimes be traitors.
Yeah, they don't know friend from foe, apparently. Speaking of friend and foe, we are going to see a clash set up in just a second. We do see BYUN pushing forward with the tanks, trying to set up for that 1/1 push, and I don't know about you, but it looks like Solar is more than ready. Has a huge clump of Lings. Some of them are going to be morphed into Banelings, setting up for a counterattack, and actually another subset of Lings coming out to join that. I thought that they were going to do 2 separate counterattacks, but it looks like it's just going to be one, as Solar is making use of the time that he has been given, because looks like BYUN is not going to be pushing forward. We do see the Banelings trying to crash in, breaking down that supply depot wall and coming into this small Terran force, forcing a lot of the bio to actually come back from the front line.
Yeah, all in all, not the most efficient trade there for Solar. But at the very least, he does delay this push here at the front of his 4th. Once again, though, I think he's going to go ahead and try to step us around. Got to be careful. It's quite difficult to execute, especially with the reinforcements that's going to be coming in here to defend. So he is going to go ahead and take the fight before those reinforcements can join up with the rest. And nice engagement there. Does clean up the rest of these Marines. And these reinforcements are going to be kind of stuck and lagging behind. And yeah, he's like kind of like slowly building or kind of delaying the attack as much as he can, as he's getting that high tech, as he's getting that lurker tech. Unfortunately, I don't think the lurkers will be out before this attack commences.
Yeah, I agree. Now, that tank spot is just so juicy, right? The Lings are not going to be able to jump on top of that. If you have Hydras, if you have Queens, then maybe, but again, those Marines and Hellbats are right there. So, looks like Lings are going to set up for yet another counterattack as the Marines are going to continue poking away at this 4th base location. 5th base has been set up already. Some Banelings are trickling in, but the target fire is decent enough to hold them back just for now. Those Lings are still at the bottom of the ramp. Banelings are ready to bust down that supply depot wall just like last time. But yeah, I just want to highlight that in the last engagement, the one before this where BYUN was set up in the same position. Oh, hold that thought, because the Lings are going to come on in, finding an opening when the units were actually all loaded up into the medevacs, giving them an opening to sort of collapse on top of this 3rd base location. Oh, and that is a kill on the 4th command center that was building. I don't think that was a cancel.
Yeah, BYUN is like busy microing here at the at his Zerg side of the base, so I think he forgot to cancel there. And right now, if BYUN can take out this hatchery, I mean, they can kind of trade, you know, base for base a little bit there. Of course, one of them was not quite established, while this one is much more established, and the rest of these Lings and Banelings gonna roll in here and clean everything up. A lot of them are in quite a low life, red and orange, but he does manage to kind of decently clean this up.
Yeah, I just want to say, even though the writing is sort of on the wall, all we have to do is look at the supply disparity. We also see that lurkers are coming out. You know, we've got all of these upgrades coming out for the Zerg. I do want to highlight that there's that one Hellbat, and it is a champion. I don't think that Hellbat. I'm pretty sure that Hellbat was from the early game, right? Like, why else would you make a Hellbat in the mid game? And that single Hellbat has watched 5 of its brothers go down, but it has survived this entire time. I don't think it's going to survive now, though. It's going to walk right... Oh, no. Okay, that medevac micro is on point. Going to, you know, take that out of the range of the lurkers. But this small Terran force is not going to be enough, even just for the Lings by themselves. But, of course, that is not all that is left for the Zerg. We do see the Banelings rolling in. We do see a Viper as well as some Hydras coming in, too. And this is really Solar's game to lose from this point on. It looks like he defended quite well and is now trying to push towards the offense. Tanks up front are going to get massacred. Lings are also not going to be enough to... Excuse me, Marines are not going to be enough to hold off the Lings. And GG is called. Solar takes this game and this series.